Good evening. Oh, let me turn my sound down. Good evening, Professor here. And how are we doing this Sunday evening? What time it is in your country? We are 7 p.m. in the evening. And it's still light outside. So, well, we're in spring now. It's still freezing cold, but we're still light. We're still light, which is getting good. It's getting good. So, I was 1 p.m. Yeah, I was over in Tampa. Over to Tampa. I think I said this. I was over in Tampa, and it's like 5 hours difference. So it was nice and bright, and it's getting nice and bright here as well. So that's awesome. Let's have a look. So what have we been up to? Let's switch our screen over just 1 second. No, not that one. And I have so many screens up. Which one is real? Let's take some of them off, and it must be this one. Nope, this one. Here we go. Good. So here's what. Yes, it's good to me. Here's what we've been up to. So what we've been up to. It's a lovely spring day here. Got to mow the lawn. Awesome. I do hope you're feeling better, by the way. A little bit poorly a couple of weeks back. Dragon Tears. Where did we get up to? Somewhere here. You can see I'm totally prepared this evening. Totally prepared for everything. Everything's been a rush today. And one of them very busy day. And come off in the last minute. I realized that it's almost time. It's almost time to go. So I think we got. Yeah, we got to this one last week. This was the final. I put the 3 out together. The last one. That was it. I did the last one last week, which I truly still enjoy, and I've watched a couple of times myself, especially the ending, because I did like that, the end, to see Winter and the conversation he had. That was awesome. I really loved that. As I said last week, I had to rewrite that one because I did it the first time, and it wasn't. I didn't feel it portrayed the power of the character. I do. Glorious visuals. We use AI. We just use AI. There's a couple of programs. One's Runway and Leonardo. Artificial intelligence just helps us create the images quickly. So last week we got to this story, and it was a little bit different. I didn't mention it was going to be a bit different last week. It was a little bit different, and it was about almost like Matrixy, like we're living in a world that isn't what we perceive it to be. And I had this idea. I was driving home, and I was speaking to someone on the way, and I said, "How does a cat know to be a cat, to chase a mouse, to have the instinct to chase, to prey, where they do that, where they put their paws and they pounce? How do they know this?" Okay, and then we see a bird, and we say, "How does a bird know to fly?" Sure, they have a genetic code built from birth, from thousands of years back. But where did the code come from? And that was an idea I had, and I thought I really wanted to put that into a story and make it a little bit sci-fi horror. I don't normally go sci-fi too much, but a little bit sci-fi horror. And so I created this story, and I really enjoyed the story. I thought it was a little bit different. And welcome, Familiar Spider. How are you doing? How are you doing, my friend? Thank you so much for this today. Great to see you here. And we're just going over the stories that we've been doing last week, just explaining how we got this idea for almost like a Matrix style story. What if we could see like life bars? What if we weren't humans? We were just feed for something else. And yes, don't ask where the professor's stories how they manipulate into his brain because I have no idea. They just do. It's probably from a childhood of watching horror movies over and over. Um, so yeah, so that was a really intriguing. I did enjoy that story. I did enjoy it. It's a little bit different to the populace, but I certainly enjoyed it. I had so much fun writing it. So that's the main thing. I think that's one of the main things for the channel. For the channel is some people make stories to please everybody. I try and put the stories out to please people, but the stories I enjoy writing. If you seriously enjoy what you do, then that can be shown. And I enjoy writing. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing it, especially on YouTube, because YouTube pay very little for what we do. So if you didn't enjoy it, then you would be putting it on YouTube. Um, but because I enjoy it and I seriously enjoy doing these latest ones I've done, I think that, people are starting to see that and they're starting to feel that they are genuine and written by someone that does enjoy what they're doing. I think that's important. So moving on. I books. I have written a book, but it's on a completely different subject. It wasn't horror stories or anything like that. It was actually on marketing, so it's a pretty boring book. And I don't want to go there because marketing was very boring when I was doing it many years ago. And I wrote a book called Magic Marketing, and it was pretty boring. Whereas these stories, the thing with books today, I prefer being able to create the creation of creating a story, and then being able to put the images with it, the music together, and create a whole instance, a whole creation, rather than just the words. I like to put things. And April, May, how are you doing tonight? Thank you so much for joining us today. It's such a pleasure to see you. Doing this as livestock as much as we would make a great zoo. Indeed, I think we're all. Cheers to the tea party. Indeed. So then, after this tale, like the Matrix style tale I did in the beginning of the week, I started creating the next series. I'm going to tell you why I created the next series. Simply, I wanted to bring back winter. I finished the story of Crimson Dawn, all 10 parts, which was my goal to finish and leave it open but end it. But I was writing a couple of other stories, and I really just wanted to put winter in there. But obviously he's so powerful, I didn't want to just make him come in. So he's at the minute. I'm not going to spoil it if you haven't got to series 2, part 3. So you've obviously got 1, 2, and 3 to watch, but he will be making a comeback. And I loved the winter character. It was one of my, once I created it, it was almost like I really enjoy this character, and I want to bring him back, which is the only reason that Crimson Dawn Series 2 exists. And the thing with these type of series, when you make them, you have so many ideas to put into play that I've got offshoots of stories, offshoots going in a different direction. So there's always room to expand. So the computers I use are full of this type of thing, and it's the stories here, and then offshooting in a different direction, The current direction I'm on, we are reintroducing winter. Of course, none of the current characters know who Winter is, so it's going to be all fun again to introduce him. I'm going to enjoy this. I'm going to enjoy this story creation with Winter back, one of my favorite characters created so far. So we started part 1 of series 2, and we introduced a new character, and we did it quite far away. And okay, carry a little recorder because I am absolutely the same. Absolutely the same. I have ideas in my car, and I have a it's probably in my car. Sometimes I have it here. You have your phone, so you can record on your phone. Or I have the notes. It's probably in my car. Those little um, recorders, and you just press it, and you just say like you don't need to say the whole story. It's just like the bullet points. You can say the bullet points and come back, and then you can put them in a computer, and then that can help you build them. Um, yeah, I'm very much the same. If I don't do it, I'll totally forget. Part of the brain that remembers is because even though I'm quite here, I'm speaking to you guys. I'm an introverted chap, and so my introversion means that I often forget. I need to dwell on things more. So I like to write them down or speak them down, and go back to them later. Um, so we introduced a new character. Um, Equip to turn that, make sure the sound is in. And it was this character, Elder. Elder, not an elder as in the vampire elders, but Elder. So, and I liked it because he had a really nice backstory. And the backstory was that he was chased as many years ago and frozen in the ice because he's a vampire, he doesn't die, and then he comes back. And when he comes back, Crimson Dawn has taken place. So now he's awoken from this iced sleep, and the world has changed. It's now Crimson Dawn world, and like, zombies are everywhere. So how's he going to react to that? And then he's got to find food. He's got to feed. But he finds, in desperation, that he can. Because he's also vampires, also undead, and zombies are undead, and he finds that his connection with them, he can now speak, not speak, but connect with them slightly. So I think that was a really interesting idea. Imagine vampire. Now he's a vampire that controls undead zombies. And with that, of course, if we could do that, the power would grow and we'd start to learn if I can control them a little bit, I can control them more. So we start to understand now that's moving into like vampire necromancy power. And so, that's the evolving of the story. The series is that Elder, of course, is getting more powerful at controlling the undead. So the undead are just shambling zombies, frozen, decaying hunks of meat. But what if they had a slight intelligence from being controlled from a higher intelligence? Now, that would pose a scary point, especially if they began to be able to utilize weaponry and organize teams and units to fight on. Now they're not just a shambling wall of death. Now they're an organized shambling wall of death. I thought this would be incredible. And so we introduced the character here, Elder. Where are we? Yes, we can see the zombies. And here we know he overtakes the fort. So that was the first part. We left it where he did indeed. I hope you haven't. If you haven't watched these two, if you haven't watched these yet, I do apologize. Let's go back. Let's go back. I am clicking the button, but nothing's happening. Oh, going up and down. Well, I may have to leave it on here for some reason. Here we go. Here we go. And so there we go. It has to be better than zombies, better than already dead. It has to make them zombies from live people. Otherwise, they get lost in the idea of what zombies would really look like. It's dumb to me. Better than zombies. The zombies are from people. So originally in Crimson Dawn, the entire race of people were taken over by zombies. And of course, during the time, they're now decaying, especially in the frozen land, they're decaying half frozen. So they are the shambling undead, previously people, but now, of course, they're undead. Then, of course, what we needed to do is introduce the werewolves again. Simply because I get so many messages, please, please, please introduce the werewolves. And werewolves are just so much fun. So we introduced the werewolves again in the second part 2 of series 2. We have the wolf pack. We're on the wolf pack now. And so they are now aiding the humans. So a twist on Crimson Dawn series 1, where the wolves were trying to dominate everything. Now they're here, and there's a reason they are aiding the humans. Interesting. And I'll leave the last one just in case you haven't watched it. Still, oh, you can still, yeah. Well, that would be interesting if the undead. We did in series 1. We did the undead made into werewolves, but there was a reason they could do that. Maybe there's a way that the undead or the werewolves could turn the undead into. They turn the humans to werewolves. Maybe they could turn the undead into werewolves, and that could be something probably for the future. So that would be an interesting concept. Imagine if the wolves, if there was thousands of undead, and the wolves could turn them to werewolf undead, then we would seriously have a group that could destroy pretty much anything, I think. So I'm going to leave. I'm not going to go through the last one because I only put that out today. I'm not sure if anyone's watched that one. Everyone's watched that yet. So we'll leave that one, but there is a nice end. Nice end for the part 3. And a familiar character comes back. A familiar character. Good. So that's what we've done this week. And these ones seem to take a lot longer to produce. So thank you so much for hitting the like button. Appreciate that. So these ones take a lot longer to produce. We're going to try and get through 2 or 3 definitely by next week. Get 2 or 3 new ones out by next week. We have the concepts down, and we already have majority of graphics and things done. So we can definitely try and get those down, get those stories down. And like I said, there's so many offshoots from the story because as you're writing, you can see offshoots of where this is going to go. So, for example, in the chat, someone mentioned, April May mentioned that what if the werewolves could actually turn the undead into werewolves? Never seen that before. So that could be an offshoot moving somewhere else. A bullet can't work unless it explodes. To be silver. Silver is the Achilles heel of the werewolves, the Lycan. Definitely. Exploding projectiles, indeed. But then against the undead, against the werewolves, but definitely a vampire, because vampires are a slightly different creature. They're originally like specters, aren't they? Like specters. Yeah, I did that in Crimson Dawn 1, where we had the undead werewolves. and they were affected by silver. It was the only thing that really affected them. Otherwise, it would have just been too powerful. The Crimson Dawn series really is a big game of rock, paper, scissors. You introduce the vampires that can defeat the undead, and the werewolves can defeat the vampires, and the undead can bite and infect the werewolves. And it's like a great big game of rock, paper, scissors to see who's win. And then, of course, you throw in the wild card from series one, which was Professor Winter. And that will mix things up for sure. Put it in the mixing pot. So then, like I say, we're getting ready to get 2 or 3 out by next week. Make sure you watch those. Be great. And we have some great. I'm not going to actually say anything about them because I don't spoil it. But there's some really interesting. They need a lab. I truly believe that. I tried to implement that in series one, where they had a lab to create abominations, and they did create some. But then in series one, we had the gigantic werewolf, which I think was a bit overpowered, but it got its comeuppance. I'm just reading the chats. Sorry. See, you guys are talking. Yes, I'm sad when the spider killed the giant. Yes. Just think, what could kill it? What could kill it? It was just too huge. You had to introduce something that was a little bit scary, and the capability of killing it. Yes, anyone outside, and you're speaking about how we can create werewolves who are undead, and it would be an interesting conversation. Interesting conversation. But I'm glad that we have a place where we can speak about such things. If any of you are like me, I've grown up in a world of watching horror movies, apocalyptic movies. I was literally watching in the UK. It's called Zombie Creeping Flesh. I believe outside of the UK, it's called Hell of the Living Dead, and it's a very old 70s cheesy zombie film, and of course, it's very dated, but it's so enjoyable. So enjoyable. It's one of those ones that were banned in the 80s, and I was literally watching it a couple of days back, and yes, it's an old school movie. It was very interesting, very interesting. So these are the type of things that I grew up watching: horror, sci-fi, books and movies. Exactly. Who saw it? Indeed, I grew up also watching all of these when I just left school. Um, I left school, and my first job was actually in a video store. So back in the day, where when we had video and VHS tapes and Betamax, and the video, big chunky thing you put in the machine. These were the days, and I worked in the video shop there, and that was in the 80s when we had all the banned videos everywhere. So that was an interesting time to, well, absolutely, the old black and white films absolutely are. I truly think they're the best. I truly think the black and white ones are awesome. They leave a lot to the imagination. If you have a vivid imagination, then the story is your own. The story is your own, and your own memories. I mean, one of my favorite, The Screaming Skull. I do remember this. I remember this, The Screaming Skull, where the man marries the woman, and they had the old wife buried in the garden, or was it in the pool? And the gardener was the crazy one. Yes, totally remember this. Awesome film. Awesome. Screaming Skull. The Screaming Skull. I believe I had the Super 8. I believe I had the Screaming Skull, or maybe in a video, but I believe it was the Super 8. Yeah, I'm sure it was, of the Screaming Skull. I do have it on DVD. On DVD. Um, the black and white horrors, my absolute, without a doubt, favorite is Night of the Demon. If you've not seen that, Night of the Demon, um, absolute classic, and for me, definitely one of the best because of the way it was shot. In the black and white, really comes out. The trees that eat people. We have Day of the Triffids. Could be Day of the Triffids. Trees. Native Crazy Island. Creature from Black Lagoon, absolutely. Creature from Black Lagoon, absolute classic. And if you haven't watched Creature from Black Lagoon in 3D, I can highly recommend watching it in 3D. And it has some very good 3D effects. Not Black Lagoons, but I love that one too. Was it the tree that eat the Haitiki or something? There was one, something like that. Yeah, definitely classic. Night of the Demon is very high up there for me. Black and white movies. I have many. I do enjoy the Universals, the old school Universals. The original Dracula, Bela Lugosi, Frankenstein with Boris Karloff, Creature from Black Lagoon, of course, The Wolfman with Lon Chaney Jr. These are all classics, that are watchable forever. And the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde with Frederick March. I love this version. The absolute best version, in my opinion. They do indeed. And so over in, I don't know if you know, but over in Orlando, they're actually creating the Dark Universe world at Universal Studios, where they are having Frankenstein housing, the lane where you can walk down it. So it's not built until 2025, but you're able to walk down there, and they're making a roller coaster at Universal Dark Universe, and the roller coaster is called the Wolfman. So that'll be a very interesting place to visit. Very interesting. Look, 2025, I believe that's going to be done. Invisible Man as well. Invisible Man. Well, it's not strictly horror. Invisible Man with Claude Rains. I would ride that ride. Yes, me too. For sure, I would ride. And I plan to. If I'll do in 25 when it just opens, I can imagine very busy. Maybe 26. I will definitely be going down. So we're here in Norwich, in Norfolk, in the UK, and The Brain That Wouldn't Die. Oh my God, goodness me! What an excellent movie! What an excellent. Where was I? Yes. So we have a star, Caroline Munro, down from us doing one of those Comic-Con things in June, 1st of June, Caroline Munro. So we're definitely gonna go down to go down for that, and that's going to be. I'm so looking. I bought my tickets. I'm so looking forward to meeting Caroline Munro. If you know Caroline, she was in Dracula AD, Captain Kronos Vampire Hunter. She was in the Sinbad, and a few others. So as a child growing up, I remember watching and seeing Caroline Munro. So it will be I have all of the movies here, of course, and it'll be very interesting to finally meet um, an idol of yours. So I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to that. I don't know. How about you on the chat? Have you met any of the horror stars previously? Yes. Most of the movies I watched were on video because, like I said, we what we well, I worked in that video store video rental store for a time, and we used to get everything. Words change. It's changed from meaning. I met my favorite author years ago. Ah, Stephen King. Yeah, he's another too. Excellent. Payphones, yes. Yes, I did enjoy it. It was very good. And Lisey's story I enjoyed very much. It was a little bit different. It was very, very, very good. Yeah. Clive Barker, indeed. Yes. I remember the first. Who's Clive Barker? I don't know. I'm going to double check. Sure, I'm right. Oh, no. Got it mixed up. Leave the World. I remember as a boy, we had the first book was The Rats, James Herbert. Another great book writer. The Rats. I think they done a movie, The Rats. I think it was terrible. I can't remember. Indeed, some of we have some newish movies, which were the Insidious movies. Like if you like ghosty type films, these are very interesting, very good. Very tried to take it down a good path, especially when they did Insidious 2, where they did the Enfield haunting. Tried to recreate some scenes from Enfield haunting, which was interesting because I grew up not far from Enfield, and we did hear about that. So it was an instance we heard about. So yeah, that was a nice connection. So that's probably why I enjoyed the Insidious movies. Simply because I'm sure it's Insidious 2. Is it Insidious? I can't remember. My favorite writer. I do appreciate that very much. I'm just going to double check that. It wasn't City. It was The Conjuring. It was The Conjuring. You guys have seen that? The Conjuring 2. Oh, Conjuring 2, and it had the Enfield haunting. Definitely worth watching. Like I said, I enjoyed it because where we lived, I grew up moving around the London area, and Enfield wasn't far. I knew of Enfield, and then we saw some stories about it, and obviously when they made a film, I was like, I used to live near Enfield. I do appreciate it. I do appreciate it. Yes, as I mentioned earlier, I write the stories because I enjoy writing them. If I didn't enjoy them, I don't think the channel would still be here. I mean, yeah, I think you have to enjoy, especially on YouTube, because YouTube is, I know sell YouTube. People make lots of money. There's no money to be made on YouTube unless you're in the millions. Um, but if you just did it to please everyone or to, my page is going funny. In Ireland, I visited. It was last year. A friend of mine, good friend of mine, lives over there, and I had to visit him for a few days. Very, very interesting. In Belfast. It's really nice. Really nice. It was right near the Titanic Museum. I didn't actually go to the Titanic Museum, but we were right near it. And we went and had, right by his house was this Mexican restaurant. We went from there. She's away, tiny little wee town, north. Leave it there. We'll leave it there. Good. I think we've gone over half now. So, friends, it's been lovely to spend the evening with you. I do appreciate that. Thank you so much for the letting me know that you enjoy the stories. What's the word for my own creation? I just let what I write the stories I would like to see. I don't write it really so that it needs to impress someone or anything else. I write the stories that if I wanted to see some, what would I want to see? And that's the story I create. And hopefully, if you enjoy the same stories as me, then you will enjoy the stories we create. So, thank you once again, friends, for joining me on this Sunday, taking your time to spend it with me. I do hope you have a wonderful day. It's obviously evening here in the United Kingdom. It is 20 minutes to 8 p.m. So I will now go and relax. Have a wonderful evening, wonderful day, and I will see you during the week, or I'll see you next Sunday. Take care.